As you're walking across the street, if you're jaywalking, your phone is geolocating you. It knows that you're jaywalking. The cameras are recognizing that it's you, and your phone, your Alipay connected to your bank account, is deducting money from your bank account as you're jaywalking across the street.
Are you serious?
You get banned from public transportation or from going to the school you want to or getting the housing that you want. You literally have no rights.
Tell them about the social credit score. People have to read Xi Jinping thought. When you kill 50 million people through the, Great Leap Forward, it's awful, right? When Xi Jinping took over, he said, hey, wait a second. We're an empire, just like the Qing dynasty and the Ming dynasty before that. We are at risk of losing our empire to these oligarchs. And something's got to change. And he began reasserting control in the same way Mao did over every aspect of the economy. And today you're basically dealing with a techno surveillance state where dissent isn't tolerated. People have to read Xi Jinping thought. And it's kind of strangely done a full circle. Deng Xiaoping opened everything up, and now he's closing things back.
And, when he's talking about Jack Ma was a high school English teacher, and he builds this company called Alibaba, which becomes the Amazon market, massively successful all across China, a true unicorn. And to give you an idea of Xi clamping down, Jack Ma, so it's almost like a Jeff Bezos type figure who's disappeared from public life for almost a year, and then he reappears lecturing at a kindergarten in rural China. And the official press said he had embraced supervision. That's the level of reassertion of control. So all the growth and the openness that happened in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, really clamped down by Xi, and he has really consolidated control. He is the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao. And in the latest, I think it was a year and a half ago, he basically at the Chinese, at the party conference, he made it possible for him to stay on effectively emperor for life. Because normally they had stayed for 5 or 10-year terms, and he is now for life. To the point of Jiang Zemin, his predecessor, had him arrested publicly, dragged off the stage at the party conference. Kind of a F you, I'm in charge. A real consolidation. And there's 3 factions of the Chinese Communist Party. There's the young princelings. Xi is a young princeling. So his father literally did the Long March with Mao back in the 30s when they escaped fighting against the nationalists and goes all the way up almost to Xinjiang in the northwest of the country. So that's the lineage. The Shanghai faction, which was that's kind of the business faction of the Chinese Communist Party. Yep. And the Communist Youth League. Both the Shanghai faction and the Youth League have been smashed by his anti-corruption campaign to really consolidate control.
What I found super interesting, Eric mentioned that Xi Jinping's predecessor, Hu Jintao, was taken off the stage. That's right. I know what you meant. So he's taken off the stage and in a very embarrassing sort of way, sort of cringeworthy. But what I noticed wasn't necessarily the spectacle that was going on between, Hu Jintao and, Xi Jinping. I was looking at the hundreds of other faces around this spectacle, looking literally straight ahead. They were scared to look down. And to me, it's kind of emblematic of where things are in China. No one dares do anything that isn't in conformance with what the government wants, because you can get disappeared, you go to jail, you get exiled, you get your fortune taken from you. So everyone lives in this sort of state of abject fear. And I mentioned, techno-authoritarianism. You literally have surveillance cameras everywhere. And
facial recognition. Yeah.
Facial recognition. So, as you are crossing, if you're jaywalking I'm not sure if I mentioned this in our last podcast, but as you're walking across the street, if you're jaywalking, your phone is geolocating you. It knows that you're jaywalking. The cameras are recognizing that it's you, and your phone, your Alipay connected to your bank account, is deducting money from your bank account as you're jaywalking across the street.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad.
Holy shit, I didn't realize it.
And so,
All part of the social credit score. Spitting, saying something.
tell them about the social credit score.
Yeah, if you don't behave exactly as the Xi Jinping thought specifies, you get banned from public transportation or from going to the school you want to or getting the housing that you want. You literally have no rights. And it is, when we see elements of this in woke culture in America, with being canceled for speaking out on social media or whatever, they've perfected it at industrial scale in China.
Wasn't there a Black Mirror episode on this? I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it's real. It's a real version of this, where every facet of your life is monitored and tracked.
If you're in a rural highway, they're timing the distances between 2 points, and they will flash on the board on a board alongside the road, your license plate, your name, that you're speeding, also being deducted. So for people to say there's a fundamental difference in governance between a constitutional republic that we live in, where we're supposed to have rights, where the government mandate is limited to that and the consent of the governed, it is the exact opposite in China. So yes, it is a fundamental difference in governance between a state that has total, unbelievable, unequivocal control over not citizens, but the serfs that reside there versus citizens. And a republic might be dirty and messy and imperfect and inefficient, but at least you have rights.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, there's a narrative battle going on, right? Our narrative is that the way to govern society is through individual agency, freedom, free markets, where it's the battle of ideas that wins. So, I was flying into Memphis last night, and you can see that the Memphis airport, you've got people singing songs, and I thought to myself, Memphis is competing to some degree, with Austin. Austin is competing with Miami, and so cities compete with each other for talent, for companies. Similarly, corporations compete with each other. Ideas compete with each other. And the best ideas, rise to the surface. And that's our idea, whether it's free markets, individual agency, democracy. These are how the values that underpin, plus our Judeo-Christian value system, this is what we believe is the right way to govern society. Over here, it's authoritarianism, state-driven capital, and surveillance, right? And autocracy. Ours is, as Eric mentioned, a lot messier. Theirs is a lot more efficient. But ultimately, when the state directs I don't know, like you've got 200 million empty houses in China and apartments. I mean, to me, that's economic foolishness. When you kill 50 million people through the Great Leap Forward, it's awful, right? But the narrative battle is happening today. And in the short term, it looks like they're winning, right? Because they're more efficient. They can build trains. Like, look at California. You can't build a train from San Francisco to LA. It takes, 20 years and billions of dollars. In the short term, it looks like they're winning. But I think long term, we prevail.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.